is no pulsation, his eye will trouble me no more. If you still think me mad, you will think so no longer when I describe the wise precautions I took for the concealment of the body. First, I dismembered the corpse. I then took up 3 planks from the floor of the chamber and deposited it all between the scantlings. I then replaced the boards so cleverly, so cunningly, that no human eye, not even his, could have detected anything wrong. When I had made an end of these labors, it was 4 o'clock. There then came on knocking at the street door. I went down to open it with a light heart, for what had I now to fear? There entered 3 men who introduced themselves with perfect suavity as officers of the police. A shriek had been heard by a neighbor. Suspicion of foul play had been aroused, and they, the officers, had been dispatched. I paid the gentleman welcome. The shriek, I said, was my own, a dream. The old man, I mentioned, was absent from the country. I took my visitors all over the house. I led them at length to his chamber. I showed them his treasures, untouched and secure. In the enthusiasm of my confidence, I brought chairs into the room and decided them here to rest. Well, in the enthusiasm of my confidence, I placed my own seat upon that very spot beneath which reposed the corpse of the victim. The officers were satisfied. My manner had convinced them. But, ere long, I felt myself growing pale and wished them gone. My head ached, and I fancied a ringing in my ears, but still they shutted. The ringing became more distinct. It continued and became more distinct, until I found the noise was not in my ears. The sound increased. It was a low, dull, quick sound, such as a watch makes when enveloping cotton. I gasped for breath. Why would they not be gone? What could I do? I foamed, I raved, I swore, I swung the chair on which I had been sitting, but the noise arose over all. It grew louder and louder, and still the men shouted and smiled. Was it possible they heard not? Almighty God, no! They heard, they knew! But anything was better than this agony. I felt that I must scream or die, and now again, louder and louder! Villains, I shrieked, dissemble no more! I admit the deed. Tear up the planks. Here. Here. It is the beating of this hideous heart.
2 young boys separated by a wire fence. On one side, the concentration camp for the Jews, and on the other, the home of the commanding officer and his son. In a world where adults saw differences and judged by prejudice, 2 boys see a new friendship and act upon kindness, despite the dividing fence. The Boy in the Striped Pajamas, by John Bain. All I know is this, began Schmel. Before we came here, I lived with my mother, my father, and my brother Joseph. And then one day, things started to change. I came home from school, and my mother was making armbands for us from a special cloth and drawing a scar on each one. And every time we left the house, she told us we had to wear one of these armbands.
My father wears one too,
said Bruno.
on his uniform. It's bright red with a very nice black and white design on it.
Yes, but they're different, aren't they? We wore the armbands for a while. And then, things changed again. I came home one day and Mama said we couldn't live in our house anymore.
That happened to me too. The Fuhrer came for dinner, you see, and then the next thing I know, we had to move here. And I hate here. Did he come to your house and do the same thing?
No. But when we were told we couldn't live in our house anymore, then we had to move to a different part of the Krakow, where the soldiers built a big wall. And my mother and my father, my brother Joseph and I, all had to live in one room. Then the soldiers came in huge trucks, and they told everyone to leave their houses. And the trucks took us to the train, and the train was horrible. There was no air to breathe. It smelled awful. And when the big train finally stopped, Mama was taken away from us. And Papa and Joseph and I were put in the huts over there. That's where we've been ever since. Schmel looked very sad when he told this story. And Bruno didn't know why. It didn't seem like such a terrible thing to him. After all, much the same thing had happened to himself. Are there any other boys over there? Hundreds. Bruno's eyes opened wide. Hundreds? That's not fair at all. There's no one to play with on this side of the fence. Not a single person. Perhaps I could come and meet your friends. You're on the wrong side of the fence, though. I could crawl under, said Bruno. Schmel nodded and held his hands out to Bruno, who opened his mouth in delight. Schmel was carrying a pair of striped pajama bottoms, a striped pajama top, and a striped cloth cap, exactly like the ones he was wearing. Schmel lifted the bottom of the fence off the ground and handed the outfit underneath to Bruno. Schmel turned just as Bruno was applying the final touches to his costumes, placing the striped cap on his head. It was quite extraordinary. If it wasn't for the fact that Bruno was nowhere near as skinny as the boys on his side of the fence, and not quite so pale either, it would have been difficult to tell them apart. Schmel reached down and lifted the base of the fence, and Bruno rolled under. Schmel smiled, and the two boys stood awkwardly together for a moment, unaccustomed to being on the same side of the fence. They began to walk away from the fence and towards their camp. It didn't take long to get where they were going. Bruno opened his eyes and wondered the things he saw. In his imagination, he thought all the huts were full of happy families. He thought all the boys and girls who lived there would be in different groups, playing. As it turned out, all the things he thought might be there weren't. There were no grown-ups sitting on rocking chairs on their porches, and the children weren't playing games in groups. Instead, there were crowds of people sitting together in groups, staring at the ground, looking horribly sad. They all had one thing in common. They were all terribly skinny, their eyes were sunken, and they all had shaved heads. Everywhere he looked, he could see two different types of people. Either happy, laughing soldiers with their uniforms, or unhappy, crying people in their striped pajamas. Most of them seemed to be staring at the ground, as if they were actually asleep. I don't think I like it here. Neither do I. I think I ought to go home. Will you walk me back to the fence? Schmel opened his mouth to answer, but right at that moment, there was a loud whistle and 10 soldiers surrounded the area of the camp. The area in which Bruno and Schmel were standing. What's happening? What's going on? It happens sometimes. They make people go on marches. Marches? I can't go on a march! I have to be home in time for dinner! It's roast beef tonight. Shh. Don't say anything. They get angry. Bruno frowned, but was relieved that all the people in the striped pajamas from this part of the camp were gathering together now, most of them being pushed together by the soldiers, so that he and Schmel were hidden in the middle of them, and could not be seen. He didn't know what everyone looked so frightened about. After all, it wasn't such a terrible thing. Marching wasn't that bad. And he wanted to whisper to them that everything was going to be all right. That Father was the commander, and if this was the kind of thing that he wanted the people to do, then it must be all right. Does the marching go on for long? He was beginning to feel quite hungry now. I don't think so. I've never seen the people after they've gone on a march, but I imagine it doesn't. Just as he said this, he found they were all piling into a long room. It was surprisingly warm. Bruno looked down and did something quite out of character for him. He took hold of Schmel's tiny hand in his own and squeezed it tightly. You're my best friend, Schmel. My best friend for life. Schmel, very well, may have opened his mouth to say something back, but Bruno never heard it. Because at that moment, there was a loud gasp from all the marchers who filled the room, as the door at the front was suddenly closed, and a loud metallic sound rang out from outside. raised an eyebrow, unable to understand the sense of all of this. And then the room went very dark. And somehow, despite the chaos that followed, Bruno found that he was still holding Chanel's hand in his own. And nothing in the world could have persuaded him to let go. Nothing more was ever heard of Bruno after this.
Parents have a tough job. They are forced to raise children of different personalities, sexes, intelligence, and looks, and treat these children fairly. Well, I have a newsflash. Most parents are failing in the fairness department. According to a study by Catherine Conger, a professor of human and community development, showed that 65% of mothers and 70% of fathers showed a bias towards one child, and it was usually the older one. In his book, The Sibling Effect, author Jeffrey Kluger wrote, "I like to say that 99% of all parents have a favorite child, and the other 1% are lying through their teeth." Like it or not, parents do have a favorite child. And today, I would like to explain to you the factors that influence the choice of the favorite child, as well as the impact of the favorite child's status. There are many reasons why parents have favorites. Some of these reasons make favoritism seem logical and even necessary. In some cases, parents are forced to provide more attention to those children with special needs or newborn children. In these cases, the other children in the family are able to understand the unfair treatment. There are many other reasons why parents have favorites, one of which is gender. According to a 2003 study in the journal Human Nature, most parents showed a bias towards children of the opposite sex, such as the mother who adores her principal eldest son, or the father who is helpless in the face of his daughter's charms, according to the October 3, 2011 issue of Time magazine. In this same study, they asked the children who they thought their parents' favorite was. The most common answer for the mothers was the oldest son, and for the fathers was the youngest daughter. Another factor that can influence favoritism is birth order. Oftentimes, the oldest serves as a favorite child. According to the article in Time magazine, one of the causes of this is called the rule of sunken cost, meaning that since the parents spent more time and money raising this child, they care more about the outcome. A 2007 Norwegian study proves this by showing that the oldest child in a family often has an IQ 3 points higher than that of the other children due to the attention they receive from their parents. Along with the oldest child, the youngest child often serves the role as a favorite. These two children in a family often earn their role as favorite over the middle children because they are the only ones who at some point have the house to themselves, according to the January 9, 2009 issue of Psychology Today. The favorite child also depends on the type of family. Oftentimes, the family needs someone to take care of, such as the mother needs to feel that someone needs her. In these cases, the youngest child serves the role as the baby and thus becomes the favorite. In other families, they may need someone to help take care of everyone else. The oldest child fills this role, and since they would take some of the stress off of the parents, they would thus become the favorite child. Another factor that can influence favoritism is physical appearance or beauty. According to the October 3, 2011 issue of Time magazine, parents would never admit to favoring a better-looking child over the other less attractive ones. But studies show us something different. Humans are automatically more attracted to those who are more attractive than others, and this can also be seen in parenting. And finally, parents pick favorites based on human nature and our survival needs, the need to reproduce ourselves. According to the article in Time magazine, a huge part of human nature is wanting to be able to reproduce and replicate ourselves through further generations. Therefore, parents pick favorites based on who is larger and more capable of carrying on the family genes. Regardless of the factors influencing the favoritism, there is an impact on this favoritism. Obviously, there is a negative impact on the LFS, or the least